Before I start, if you are a regular subscriber, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support has meant so much to me, and I'm truly, truly appreciative. And if you're brand new to my channel, if you can do me the kindness and consider subscribing, I would really appreciate it. Any video of mine that you see, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it in your social media, and again, thank you for your support. Many of you are already hardcore foragers, and some are maybe part-time foragers. But regardless of what your level of foraging is, or if you're just wanting to get into doing this, you need to understand that more and more it is becoming exceedingly important that we use wild foods to supplement our regular diets. And you'll see why as I get into this video. What did you eat today? Do you know where your food came from? Do you know how it was grown? And more importantly, do you know what exactly was in the food you've just consumed? The first question that needs to be answered is, was your food grown in dirt or soil? And a lot of people here don't understand the difference between the two. Soil is alive with millions of microorganisms and larger creatures such as earthworms, beetles, and grubs. Dirt is sterile, and it's made of minerals, mostly clay, silt, sand, and at best, a trace amount of organic matter. Nutrient-depleted soils. Rex Ellingwood Beach was born in the late 1800s. He was a writer, he was a playwright, and more importantly, he did some really hardcore research into soil science, and he followed two incredible individuals who I'll mention shortly. When it came to soil science, what he discovered in his research is that there was an alarming issue happening, and this is back in the early 1900s, in which the nutrients in the soil was being depleted across the United States. And that was presented in a paper called Modern Miracle Men to Congress back in the 1930s. If you research this on the internet, the PDF is available. Rex Beach was a fascinating individual. He was almost about to become a lawyer, and he ended up tossing it all away because he ended up with gold rush fever. He headed up to Alaska, and when he was there, instead of uncovering gold, he ended up uncovering a massive amount of corruption when it came to land claims. He ended up writing a book about this called The Spoilers. And that book, I believe, became a movie back in the late 1920s. The book is available today if you're interested. I believe it is on Audible. This is one of the individuals that Rex Beach researched, and his name was Dr. Charles Northern, and I believe that he also worked with him. I could be wrong on that, so don't take that as gospel. Anyway, Dr. Northern was basically credited for coming up with the saying, sick soils make sick people. And he actually took that, what he considered a theory, and took it one step further. And he was proving that the soil that was nutrient depleted was creating or causing very sick individuals. And he eventually went to New York, and he was very well noted for biological and food chemistry research. Dr. William Albert Albrecht, this man, his research was absolutely impeccable. At first, he was studying soil as a result of animals not being as healthy as they could be. And then he took it one step further. A declining soil fertility due to a lack of organic material, major elements and trace minerals is responsible for poor crops and in turn for pathological conditions in animals fed deficient foods from such soils. Mankind is no exception. Dr. Albrecht was a very distinguished scientist and a brilliant scholar. In fact, he risked his academic reputation by warning people about the health risks posed by modern industrial agriculture. He saw a direct link between soil quality, food quality, and our health. This is a man that tried to warn people about what was happening, and we're talking about the early 1900s. What a simple yet powerful saying. It is simpler to cure sick soils than sick people. Which shall we choose? Well, we know what's happened, don't we? Size over nutrients? There's a lot of information here, so if you want to stop the video to read it, go ahead. But keep in mind, before we take in what is on this slide, we already have soil that has been proven to be nutrient deficient. So now science, in their efforts to increase the size of our food, the growth rate, pest resistance, have created basically bigger foods that are totally devoid of taste and totally devoid of nutrients. Let's explore the truth about most strawberries. Remember a few minutes ago I asked, what did you eat today? Did you eat these strawberries? I hope not. Anyway, many strawberry farmers inject a fumigant called methyl bromide along with another chemical called chloropicrin into the soil a few weeks before planting. That's not good because when I was trying to find out the answer to why they were doing this, it was to create a sterile soil so there was no bacteria. I'll let you think about that one and do your research. American strawberries are irradiated. There's so much controversy out there in terms of whether irradiated food is safe for us or not. There are some sources that say don't consume anything that's been irradiated. I think that's a personal choice, quite frankly. Non-organic strawberries that were tested by scientists at the U.S. Department of Agriculture in 2015 and in 2016 contained an average of 7.8 different pesticides per sample. So again, what are we eating? Personally, I will never purchase store-bought strawberries, ever. If I'm spending money, I want to spend money on something in which I know my body is going to get some benefit from. So yeah, it costs a lot of money, and I will support my local farmers by getting my local strawberries because that way I know the whole story of how it was grown and I know it's safer for me. These strawberries that you're looking at are wild strawberries. Without a shadow of a doubt, one of these, when ripe, boasts more flavor than any strawberry, except for perhaps homegrown. However, the downside to foraging for wild strawberries is that we are in competition with the wildlife. They tend to get them first. Glyphosate? Now, I am not going to read this one off. There is quite the history to glyphosate, and if you want to, just stop the video and read this for yourself. There are so many names that many products go by that have glyphosate in them. And there is plenty of research and lawsuits out there that prove glyphosate does not have a place in our body. Now, that's according to my research, and that's according to my own opinion. Glyphosate is a powerful chelator. Chelators bind to heavy metals and to a certain class of minerals, particularly the +2 cation minerals. Chelation is a chemical process in which a substance is used to bind metals or minerals so that they can be excreted from the body. Chelation has been actually very beneficial in many uses, such as treating iron overload or severe lead poisoning. But a plant exposed to glyphosate can chelate the zinc, copper, manganese, magnesium, iron, and cobalt. So when we have nutrient depleted soils, what is being grown in those soils has a plethora of pesticides used, and perhaps one of those pesticides or chemicals that are being used has glyphosate in it. What do we have left that we're eating? There's a fair bit of information out there that also indicates that glyphosate can affect our gut microbiome. I'm not going to get into the science of what is happening allegedly between uh, glyphosate and our gut microbiome, and I'm just going to leave this up to you. If you want to purchase this book, perhaps your local library may have a copy of this. But either way, I strongly recommend that you read this book if you care about your gut microbiome and what is happening with glyphosate in the human body. So now we know a lot of our food is grown in nutrient depleted soil. It's loaded with chemicals because of what is being used in the farming process. And now, food additives and preservatives? I can't get into all the additives and preservatives that are out there. Number one, it would probably take more years than I have left in my life. However, having said that, I have a couple of free PDFs on my website. You'll see the page here. You may be interested. It could help you begin your journey in becoming a very fervent label reader. I can never stress this enough. Being a label reader is so important nowadays. If you see ingredients and you can't pronounce them or you haven't a clue what they are, don't buy it. But please do your research. If everything you have heard so far isn't enough, please stay vigilant in your research in regards to this topic. This, I'm not even going to go down that pathway right now. It just absolutely shocks me, and it truly has no place in our food ever. Apparently, Congressman Thomas Massey has spoke openly about this. He said, I believe his quote is, "I think it is very dangerous to play God with our food." However, do your research. I don't know if this ever will make it to our grocery stores or not. Stay on top of this one. If the information I have just presented has got you in a dark place right now, I certainly agree with you. It's very depressing when we really put a lot of thought into what exactly is in the food that we buy on a daily basis. So more than ever before, we need to take charge of our food that we choose to eat. We need to be supporting our local farmers. We need to be growing our own gardens if we have that ability, and learn how to forage. We have a vast amount of free food available to us. Of course, it's a lot of hard work getting out there and getting enough, but it's free food and it can help supplement some of the not so desirable foods we have no choice but to purchase in a grocery store. This plant is out there right now and it's growing and it is prolific. So it's not just a weed, it's food. But that's as far as I'm going to go right now. I will put links below to another video I did about this plant. and how to identify it. Daisies are out there right now. The regular oxeye daisy, that is. This is what it looks like at this time. And this video is being posted the first week of April. So if it's later in the season and you're watching this video, it certainly doesn't look like this right now. But daisies have a wealth of great nutrition and they're plentiful. This is the flower bud of the daisy, which, by the way, is edible and can be made into capers. Every plant that you will see here will have links to on my website below. I won't read all this information off, there's far too much, so feel free to stop the video. When you read this, the only question that I would ask, if you're not already eating dandelion leaves, why not? Garlic mustard is either loved or hated. Hated because it's invasive, or loved because there's so much of it and it makes for easy foraging. This plant has a plethora of nutrients, including omega-3. The aerial parts of this plant can be used in a variety of ways. I won't get into all the details here. And the roots, if you like horseradish, make a horseradish condiment using these roots. It's almost bang on in terms of flavor. This is truly a wealth of nutrition that you're looking at right here.
Okay, so at the very least, I hope everybody has learned something about our food and what's in it. And next time you're at the grocery store, make sure you become a fervent label reader. It really is up to you to monitor what's in the food that you choose to eat. So anyways, enough said. Thank you for watching, everyone. And again, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, please do the consideration of becoming a subscriber. Thank you, everybody.